Buying banks like this one can potentially make you millions. Let me explain. Now, up and down the UK, banks are actually being shutting at the fastest rate in history. Now, there is a bunch of defunct banks that are no use in its current format, but actually make sense for being repurposed. Probably creating smaller retail units and then looking at either making the other elements of it commercial in some type of form, such as offices, or even better, if you can, changing these to residential use. By actually changing them to residential use, you're actually helping solve part of the housing crisis, providing much needed housing within town centres, and actually taking a building that has been unloved for a little while and putting it back into much needed good use for the local community. You may have recalled we made a video on this site several months ago. Now there's been some delays, but we've actually got planning approved, but let me run you through what's actually been going on. So prior approval in general sounds easy when you watch it on YouTube or you watch it on social media channels such as Instagram. However, if you don't know all the elements, you can end up with costly mistakes. Now with us, we've actually been changing commercial properties to residential use for over 10 years, since 2013. And we knew, as long as we check off about 5 criteria points, we'll actually be able to obtain planning on this site. So when we put this application in to change this building to 1 retail unit and 3 flats, planning was actually going through. They liked all the elements, like we hit the lighting element. They liked we're retaining a decent sized retail unit for the local high street, and they liked the fact that we're actually repurposing the flats into residential use. They actually commented saying these flats are actually bigger than what they should be in normal. So for example, a 1-bedroom flat is 50 square meters. Our 1-bedroom flat would have been 60 to 65 square meters, and even the 3-bedroom was a lot larger than typically required. So we had so many checkpoints. The one element that they actually questioned was the noise assessment. If you've got some neighboring buildings, either at the front, side, rear, if that's going to have an impact on the residents that will be living in the building, you typically need to get a noise assessment done. So in this case, all the buildings are offices and they have residential elements above. We didn't really see an issue here. However, at the 11th hour, the council got in touch. I said, look, can you get a noise assessment done? We actually got one done, but as we were heading towards the 56 days, they said, well, we like the noise assessment, but it's the readings to be done at the front and the middle of the building, but we need some done at the rear. Now, because it was heading 56 days, they said, look, we'll have to fail it, otherwise you withdraw the application, get the report redone and resubmit. So it's not something they particularly liked, but we understand the process, we understand the game. So we withdrew this application, redone the noise assessment, including the rear, and also putting in any bits that the noise assessment guy would recommend that we put in. So this, whether it's be double glazing, secondary glazing, air ventilation, so on, basically to reduce external noise coming in. We asked them to actually go ahead with that. This was done. We then resubmitted to the council again. They asked this time, because they had some neighbours complaining on some elements, for a short extension of a few weeks. We agreed to that, and we were actually pleased to say planning's now been approved. We're actually going to be changing this site now from one big former bank, which is consisting of offices on the upper floors. Now it's going to be one decent sized retail unit. We've got it to roughly a size where it will be business rates exempt, so this would be ideal for like a startup business. We've got a few people already interested, such as bakeries, and you've got some people that actually want to set up an office, such as an estate agent. So we're entertaining those offers at the moment. Now we've got planning approved. Let me show you what we're actually going to be doing. When it comes to commercial units that have a retail unit, a part of it on the high street, if it's on a main parade, we typically look at keeping a small element of that retail unit. Now, if it was on a secondary parade or a tertiary parade, we'll consider maybe potentially changing that to residential, but this actual unit is on the high street. There's a station across, and if you've been watching our videos before, you know how it works with zoning. The closer you are to the front of the building, that typically tends to be zone A. That's where you get the most premium from. So if you have a look at from the front window to basically the green wall at the back, which used to be the cashier's office, we're actually going to retain that element as zone A retail space. We've already been working with some agents and we'll get the best pound per square foot for this bit of the unit, and it's already been listed with some of the agent partners that we actually work with. So when it comes to Zone B, let me show you. This typically tends to be less per square foot, but there's still a use for it. And then you have Zone C, and in some cases you have Zone D, which has very little use and is the lowest per square foot. But these are bits where you can actually utilize converting. So follow me. Now where I'm standing right at the moment, this is what you would typically call a Zone B area within the building. We're actually going to take the Zone B area, and then if you can see further down the end where you have the safe, is full of rubbish at the moment. But this is all going to be a 2-bedroom flat, a very big size 2-bedroom flat, and it's the best use per square foot of this space. That space over there, the safe, is actually going to be a bedroom, and there's going to be a bedroom also within the front of this. Naturally, one thing to actually look out for, what a lot of people miss, is when you look at floor plans, it may have front and rear windows, but typically a lot of commercial buildings will have skylights, such as over here. So this one's actually been covered up. We pulled the tarpaulin back a little bit because you see it brings in a lot of natural light. This will actually help you pass the light assessments when putting your prior approval plans back in.
Obviously, last time we came here, I noticed there was a massive safe door. How was it trying to remove that?
So when it comes to safe doors, they're notorious and they're very difficult to actually move. These doors, we've actually now taken off its hinges, but when we actually have to move this, we're going to have to use some specialist equipment, because if that falls on someone, it could potentially cause injury to their lives. So it's not something you want to do, especially with a successful workforce that we have. But yeah, we'll be getting rid of that. There's a safe that's in the wall. I think we'll be actually keeping that just as a feature, because it'll look good for the tenants that are going to be in here. But it's also a reminder for what this building used to be. So we're actually here yesterday, and the building's been empty for a few months. There's been an occasion where we actually turned up and we had the AC that was actually installed for the retail unit, and it was on full blast, and I just found that very bizarre. And we phoned the builders up and said, why is the heating on? I said, no, we're pretty sure we had it off. It's been off for months. So anyway, we turned it off, and now I've actually returned back probably about 8 weeks later. Now, as I was recording an outro to a reel with Ronnie, I heard some noise, and I'm like, that sounds like either it's rodents or someone's in the building. So I quickly ran up the stairs, and I saw there's no one trying to break in from the outside. And as I looked to the right, I saw some feet trying to hide behind a leaning board. Ronnie will probably put the video up. What we actually found was there was an intruder within the building. He's actually been living here for, he said, the last couple of months, and he's actually been doing his artwork. In situations like this, I just kept a little bit of distance with caution, because you don't know what someone's actually holding. But then I negotiated with him. I said, look, you've been here for a little while. Our builders are actually going to start work now. I'd appreciate it if you leave. He was actually quite a nice gentleman. And when I asked him about, his living arrangements, he said he just prefers going around empty buildings and living in there because it actually inspires him. Now, Ronnie will put this up, but it's worth watching. Sanj. Look at that. Yes, mate? Who's this? Me. What are you doing here, mate?
I'll read this door and explain.
What?
I'll explain.
All right, come out, mate. We've got builders coming in here. There's a commercial building, you can't be staying in here.
No, just explain. Do some paint artwork, see? Painted and that.
Okay.
An empty building.
Okay, show me. You're not insured to be on site.
How long have I got to clear this out? Okay, right. So, what I did, there was a window open, so I got a ladder and climbed in. If you give me a day to clear everything out.
Okay.
Yeah?
All right.
I've done some arts, these painting and that.
All right, that's fine, but we're going to come then tomorrow, same time.
Do you want me to show you how I did it?
No, that's fine, but you're not insured to be here. There's a commercial
It's nice,
build.
isn't it? It's nice.
No, I know,
Yeah,
but
yeah, so I get
you're going to end up in
this
a bit of an issue.
Somewhere else. I was told, you know, when they come in tomorrow, we're going to demolish it.
Have you not got somewhere to stay?
No, I prefer to live like this because I was just I save a bit of money and you can move around.
How are you going to
Oh,
leave?
it'll be long house.
How are you going to leave?
What do you mean? Well,
Did you come through the roof thing there?
No. The window was already open. Yeah, because it was blowing in the wind. I've seen that. So I got a ladder that was left next door, and there's a building next door that's a sort of a shed thing. So I got 2 ladders. So I used the ladder to climb up, get in the window. And
All right, look, I'm gonna come. I'll come back here tomorrow, but I need you gone.
I will be long.
Yeah. So we don't. I don't want to end up like.
Thanks for not making.
Yeah.
Nothing.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
I just leave, and they've got some of their tools there, so please just ensure they're here. Yeah.
That sort of thing is.
All right. Cool. And then you're gonna go out where? Through the top window.
I go back through that window that's open, put the ladder down, climb down the ladder, and put the ladder at the side, and come back.
Now, this is the room the squatter was in. He was actually holding this door or panel and trying to pretend he wasn't here, but I heard him moving within the building, which is quite easy to do because it's pinned quiet because it's completely empty. But let me explain. So this is actually going to be a 2-bedroom flat. This is one of the bedrooms here. It's actually quite nice. We'll probably change the glazing to double glaze just to provide that extra insulation. But the good thing with this is it provides a lot of natural light and it will make an ideal bedroom for the habitants that we have. Now, what we're actually going to do in this situation is we're actually going to get rid of these stairs here. So the ground floor flat will have its own access to the ground floor from the rear of the building, and the upper 2 flats will both access it through the front door on the high street using the stairs coming up to the 1st and 2nd floor. Now, by actually getting rid of these stairs, you can actually have a look at how much square foot that actually is going to provide. This will actually now be quite a nice sort of living area and kitchen area. And if you follow me through, obviously we're going to have a bathroom, and there's actually space for another bedroom within the building, so we'll be combining this space here. The entrance to this flat will actually be from here, and you can see there'll be a nice passageway through. Here we're actually on the 1st floor of the front elevation facing the high street. This is actually now going to be repurposed to a kitchen living room area. It's going to be sort of an ideal space. We'll end up taking this wall out. We'll ensure that the beams are adequate enough to hold the upper floor weight. There's a little bit of an issue that we discovered when we strip back. Sometimes you do need to strip back and just see if there's any movement. And if you do see movement, like in walls or in floors, then try to find out the cause of that. So in this case here, there's a beam missing, which should have been on the ground floor to there supporting the joists of the uppers. So you can see there's a slight movement forward, but working with the structural engineer, it's not a major issue. With the retail unit actually being empty, it's actually quite a straight fix by putting in a beam with some posts that literally go from one side of the building to the other. So within here, we're actually going to put the kitchen area. So you've got the living, dining area here, the kitchen is here. So it's all sort of one space, but obviously being a family area, you want to put a fire door on this. Make sure when the occupants are asleep, in the case of a fire, the occupants have a minimum period of 30 minutes to escape. It's something that we do with all our properties. Now, if you follow me up, this is actually quite a big flat. So we'll go to the uppers here. This is where we used to have the male and female toilets for the bank. This is now going to be repurposed to a bathroom area, and then we lead up to the 2nd floor. As you can see, it's actually quite a nice space. So what we're actually going to do with this area here is change this to being a bedroom, partition this area off here. This room here will be another additional room. We've got a small area on this side of the wall. We're going to punch a door in here, and you can see this will make for a nice ensuite room. So this will be like an ensuite. It'll be quite nice. All flats, you've got to utilize all areas. So when you have the under area of stairs, we typically use this for if we're going to be putting in immersion tanks and stuff for hot water. So this will be utilized for that. Then if you follow me up, we're still not finished. This is obviously flat 3. Now we had a little issue here where someone left the window open, and as you can see there's pigeon poo everywhere. Hopefully my trainers don't get dirty, but the pigeon's now thankfully gone. This will be another additional room within the building. We'll make this ensuite because you can probably see within the eaves there's a lot of space within here. Now we'll head back down and we'll run through what you want to know, which is the numbers, and let me fill you in. Now this site actually has an interesting background. So it was basically a couple of partners. They actually bought this site, I believe, for around 1.3 million. They had a tenant in place with a 10-year lease with Lloyds Bank. So it's a blue chip company. Back then, 10 years ago, it was actually an amazing investment. So they obviously sat on it. Lloyds has given notice as they were coming towards the end of their term. Now they tried to actually sell this site several occasions. We actually looked at this when it was up for 1.1 million pounds. Sanjay had an idea that the site with what you could potentially do with it is worth 980k. It didn't sell at 1.1. It came down to a million. I believe at that point Sanjay offered 980, but the partners couldn't actually agree. And then it was seen on Property Elevator. I believe someone pitched it to one or two of the dragons who potentially were interested. However, not being able to get the right price, the vendors actually agreed to put it into auction. When you put it into auction, it works a lot differently because once you agree to sell and you sign the papers, then if the hammer falls, it's sold. So it was in the auction, I believe the guide price was mid 750, around about that price there. There was only 2 bids on the site. So there was buyer 1, buyer 2, which was Sanjay. And he was actually happy to acquire this site at 765, and this is obviously £215,000 less than what he was originally willing to pay. We've now acquired the site 765. With the plans that we actually have for the site, we believe it's going to be worth something in the region of 1.5 to 1.6 million pounds. I actually haven't done the numbers on what the rentals will be, but typically a retail unit like this, once it's all partitioned up, would rent for around 35, potentially even up as high as £40,000. You just got to find the right tenant who needs this particular site and wants to be in this particular area. I mean, when it comes to the residential elements, rents are actually rising continuously. So I don't want to give an idea on where the rents and stuff are, but you can work out typically what a 2-bedroom site within Buckingham should be and what a 3-bedroom one will be. I believe like 2 bedrooms are like 1,600 plus, and a 3-bedroom is around 1,850 to 2k or so. So it's actually quite a decent return. But as always with the sites, we always approach agents for evaluation on the rents once the project is nearing completion. Now, if you like this video, hit that bell icon, subscribe, leave a comment. We'll be making a lot more like that. We've actually started a school community, which is basically a free online community. We've now, within 4 weeks, we've got over 600 investors that are on this community. It's an ideal place for you to be, to ask your questions. We'll actually be replying to them. We're going through them daily, providing great knowledge and feedback, and it's an ideal opportunity for you to put questions out where your peers will be able to respond. If this is something of interest to you, details of this will be in the bio. We hope to see you in the next video.